You nailed it. And I really want to highlight probably three or four super wise things that you brought out as principles. The first thing is that the plan that you follow cannot be rigid because life is by its nature is dynamic and flexible. It's like having a stiff piece of wood and your life is constantly bending. The thing's going to snap. But if you have a plan from the beginning that has a rubbery aspect to it, it has structure, but it has flexibility. That's the thing that's going to be able to move with the ebbs and flows of life. Two, the forces that we're trying to control in terms of our routine is the balancing consistency and variety. Hey there, my friend. It's Dr. A from the Fit Father Project, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. In just a few minutes, you're going to be hearing a conversation between myself and one of our amazing program members, Mr. Mark Netjes, who's 40 years young, and over the past 9 months, he's used our Fit Father 30X program series to lose over 30 pounds, completely increase his strength, his vitality, and become a fit father through and through. And in this conversation, Mark shares a ton of wisdom about how he changed his nutrition to actually see real results with his weight loss, the kinds of stuff he learned about getting over mental challenges and hurdles, how he's showing up better for his family, and practical tips on how he knows he can sustain this over the long haul. These are crucial conversations, and I'm so grateful that Mark came on to share all of this with us, and I'm really excited for you to have this conversation. So the conversation is going to roll in just a few minutes, but I want you to know that what Mark also does is he references a few things throughout this conversation that I want you to be aware of. One of the things Mark used was our Fit Father Superfuel Protein Powder for morning shakes. If you're interested in trying that, there's going to be links in the description of this episode. Whether you're listening on this as a podcast or you're watching on our YouTube channel, you can use the promo code PODCAST15. Podcast 15 on our store. You can get a discount on Superfuel Protein Powder, as well as the program that Mark references and the free workouts. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. I'm super happy to have Mark on and to share this episode with you. Let's get into the conversation today. All right, Mark, welcome officially to the Fit Father Project podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. To kick off our conversation, I'd love for you to introduce yourself a little bit, your name, your age, where you're from, a little bit about your family, and then we'll get into your Fit Father story.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Dr. A. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Mark Netjes. I live just outside of Chicago in Northwest Indiana, so about 45 minutes south of the city. I've been married to my lovely wife for 16 years, and we have 3 kids, a 13-year-old, 10-year-old, and almost a 10-year-old, excuse me, and a 6-year-old. And for work, I'm in sales and financial technology. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
You're 40 years old. What prompted you to join this program? Before we actually hit record, we were chatting a little bit about how you found us on Facebook. I want you to take me back to that moment. You're scrolling through your Facebook feed. You see some Fit Father thing pop up. Like, what was going on in your life and your mind at that time that prompts you to click on that?
Sure. Yeah. So it was, toward the latter part of 2020 at this point. And obviously, COVID was in full effect, and weight was creeping up due to not going to the gym. And there was some family stuff going on with my mother's health that was just, kind of wearing on me. And so pounds started kind of creeping up. And I knew as I was heading into 2021, where I was going to be turning 40, I knew that I wanted to make some changes. And, I said to myself, all right, let's lose about 20 pounds by the time I've turned 40. And that was in June. And so I figured, I had roughly 6 months to get down 20, and I thought I could probably do it. And in my head, I was like, but you need something, because everything that I've been doing before wasn't getting there. There was no structure. There was workouts, but there was no structure. And so I just happened to be scrolling through Facebook, and a guy that I grew up with in the town that I grew up in was a D1 football player, and he was like, this guy likes Fit Father Projects. I'm like, oh, if he likes it, I should just take a look at it. So I looked into it, and I'm skeptical about a lot of things, probably like many people are, because I'd seen some other Facebook things before and clicked into those and just got so many like ads and different emails and whatnot. And this was different. It was, it seemed a lot more real and genuine. And so, the pictures looked real, like the people on there looked real. It wasn't some dude with some big old 6-pack, staring at you, yelling at you. It was, you're a normal guy, right? And then the people that you showcased were normal too. And so I'm like, all right, I can resonate with this. So yeah, you start looking into things more, and yeah, it's a program. It works, and people have success with it, and it seemed like it's genuine, where you're not giving up a ton of things. It's set up for the long term, and so that's what kind of prompted me to look in a little further, and uh, did the did the trial, and I'm like, all right, great. This should be easy. I saw the meal plan. I saw the workout. I think it was like the Apex 8 or something. And I'm like, 24 minutes. I can do this. Not, and I was wrong, by the way. Like, I got my butt kicked. Like you say, that Apex is a butt kicker for sure, right? I mean, I think that one took me, when I tried it, it was like maybe 40 plus maybe minutes to get there. And I knew it was onto something at that point. I'm like, I've never had a workout like this that's kicked my butt this much. And so I was like, all right, let's dive into a little bit further and keep going. And I'm like, I think this is the structure that I need to, do something, right? Because I couldn't do nothing, but so I
Yeah.
needed something. And so this was what I found, and here we are.
What was your starting weight when you decide in 2020 COVID time, you want to lose a 20 pounds? What was your starting weight?
Yeah, I ended the end of 2020 at 220, just under 225. So 224 and a half
Hmm.
is what I started off with, and weighed in today at 188 and a half. So about
Nice.
36 pounds, and it's been a lot of hard work, obviously, and there's been a lot of plateaus for probably the last. I jotted it down because I was curious. I made it into the 190s back in March, and then I pretty much stuck in like the mid 190s to maybe low 190s from then on till recently. And but I think that's also part of summertime came, and things were, I don't want to say lax by any means, but a little more freedom here or there. We like to entertain, and have people over to swim, and maybe a few more free meals than what one needed,
Hmm.
but that's okay, because I already had all that structure in place where it wasn't going to derail me, right? You have a
Hmm.
couple days here or there, you do this, you get back on the horse, and you clean yourself back out, and there you go. So it's
Yeah.
you just keep rolling. And I think without the all the steps leading up to that, it would have been easy just to stay off and just kind of let a day that derailed you just keep going down the path that you don't want to go.
I think you just touched on a lot of things that we talk about on this podcast, but I really want to highlight this. You mentioned the word structure, and like structure is everything. What we try to do with the program is, Mark, is we help you create your own day-to-day baseline structure. This starts with simple things like meal timing. When do you eat your meals? What are some of your go-to meals and go-to foods? And what are the workout targets? How many do you want to get in per week? And we even build in things like having a free meal. It's structured in. And what structure gives you is the ability to shift momentum. You can build momentum. And I think what a lot of guys, what you said is so true, when they lack the structure, that the long weekend grilling and barbecuing by the pool, drinking too much, having too many hamburgers for some guys can turn into a tailspin for weeks and months. Whereas
Hmm.
you, with this Fit Father system, have the ability to get back to your baseline structure to clean yourself out, which gives you the ability to be flexible over the long haul. So I want to hear about your structure. What ended up working for you? Like when you joined Fit Father program, what kind of stuff, let's start with nutrition, did you install into your life and your routine that was different from when you were just doing it kind of ad hoc before?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was very ad hoc before, and this, I really read through the meal plan, and one, I found it simple, right? Which, I think so many programs out there make it really difficult, right? Where you gotta, you can't eat this or you can't have that. And this is, like you've always said, you want to have that free meal or that burger, have it, but have that structure in place. So I found, intermittent fasting worked really well for me.
Hmm.
I think the meal plan said 10:30, but I knew that wasn't going to work. And so I emailed into the team, and I said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 9:30, 1:30, and then, 5:30 to 6:30 for dinner, and they're like, that's great.
Yeah.
You got to do it what's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And so so I adapted that, and just ran with it. And obviously all the water, at first I never had so much water in probably a long time, but that plays a big factor. And then just, yeah, spacing out the meals. And for me too, it's more of, in the past it was, yeah, you eat whatever, maybe more helpings than what you need. But then you sit down at night after the kids go to bed, and maybe you unwind with a beer or something and some snacks, right?
Hmm.
And so that stuff just went out the window. So
Mm-hmm.
like I just knew like after I eat, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably helped too in January. My wife and I, we always do like a dry January just to kind of kickstart the year, and also
Yeah.
just to make sure that, hey, alcohol doesn't have a control over us. We don't
Yeah.
need it. And so I think that helped me as well, just kind of keep that focus going. But it was, the meal timing specifically, and the food, and just really watching it, what I was doing helped. I think in addition, like I know you say you don't have to track your calories or what you're putting in, but for a while when I got started, I did that because
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what I was eating beforehand, and I really wanted to get a good feel for, how many calories am I eating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what are my macros look like? Even though I don't track that stuff anymore by any means, but at the beginning I wanted to do it. I
Yeah.
drove my I drove my wife absolutely crazy, saying, when she was making dinner, saying, all right, well, what's this and what's that? All right, I can have this, but maybe a little bit less of that, or whatever the case is. Talking about it more than what probably I should have, but that helped me too, right? Because that way I could figure out, you know, this is my go-to breakfast, and I
Mm-hmm.
love the shakes, but I hate the same thing every day. And so
Yeah.
I usually switch it up with like shakes and then eggs or an omelet
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
something, right? So, and then now lunches, what in the past would have been maybe a quick, you know, sandwich or leftover pizza and chips or whatever. Now it's, one of a salad with a good protein, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the sandwiches that you have on the plan, which are absolutely fantastic. Or it could just be leftovers with a
Sure.
side salad, or whatever the case is, because our dinners are always good. And then I left dinners open to really kind of what I wanted to, what
Yeah.
was going to be out there. I wasn't
Yeah.
going to have my wife make me a different dinner, or I wasn't going to do what I wanted to eat with our family. We appreciate sitting down and eating together, but maybe it's a smaller portion here, or if the kids are having maybe fries or something, maybe I have a side salad instead, which is good. So I mean, it's kind of setting those things up as the foundation, and then just rolling them, but giving yourself some flexibility to say, you know
Yeah.
what, it's okay if I, have a little extra of this or something, but going back, it's kind of, getting back on the horse when if you deviate a little bit, and just kind of picking things back up. And it's amazing. I mean, I would say, like, if I had a weekend where, yeah, maybe I had an extra burger at the pool, you know picking things back up on Monday, and getting back into the morning shake, as an example, like,
Mm-hmm.
that thing does wonders for the body. I mean,
Yeah.
it really just, like, you can feel yourself just getting all those toxins out and just kind of resetting. And it's a great start to the week. So, but yeah, and I'll even remember, like, the first time I went out and had like my true free meal, I was like, I'm going out and getting a big old juicy burger, right? And I had it and I loved it and it was great. But I got home and I was like, what did I just do?
Right.
Right? Like, this, my body is not used to this at
Yeah.
all. And it was just kind of like, ugh. But and then it was like, all right, well, tomorrow we reset.
Mm-hmm.
We get back and we focus, and we eat cleaner. And
Yeah.
and and that's all about, kind of the structure, and then, but just the life, because that's life, right? Like,
Yeah.
life is about, you have, things don't always, you can't always go according to plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be finding yourself in a situation where you might not have those go-to breakfasts or lunches
Mm-hmm.
every day, but find something that will work for you. And if you don't, eat as best as you can, and then get back on it when you're back in your normal environment.
You nailed it. And I really want to highlight probably 3 or 4 super wise things that you brought out as principles, just to really to highlight them more or less. The first thing is that the plan that you follow cannot be rigid, because life is by its nature is dynamic and flexible. It's like having a stiff piece of wood and your life is constantly bending. The thing's going to snap. But if you have a plan from the beginning that has a rubbery aspect to it, it has structure, but it has flexibility. That's the thing that's going to be able to move with the ebbs and flows of life. 2, the forces that we're trying to control in terms of our routine is the balancing consistency and variety. And it seems like you've nailed it with consistent breakfast. You alternate fruit with a couple go-to breakfasts. You use our Fit Father Super Fuel shakes or some egg recipes. Both are amazing. And then lunch is great because a salad and protein, no matter where you're traveling, you could always get that. A sandwich, great, or just leftovers from your healthy dinner. But it's super important for guys to hear is like, I'm a big fan. We do it in our family too, is you leave dinner up to be flexible. Like dinner is the flexibility point because it's going to change based on the needs of the family, where you guys are at, what the kids are doing, what kind of foods
Hmm.
are there, and then you get the consistency and variety is really huge. Man, just so much there, like a lot of good stuff, and I think the anchor too of having something like a shake that's like a tangible, if I need to reset, you have intermittent fasting, which will help clear your system out. Your GI tract's going to empty out. You're eating less food for a period of time, and then a shake and you're back on it. I mean, I can totally see how you're massively successful with that and will continue to be. You have an operating system. It's a beautiful thing, Mark.
It's comforting too, right? Because to just know that you have something to fall back on, and you put these things into place, and it's there, and like I've said, if you deviate, you can just get back on, and that's, I think, for a lot of time in the my life, and probably others as well, right? Is like you deviate and you just let it, you slide, and
Hmm.
you just let that get after you, and you just say, well, I've had a couple bad days, what's the point? And but it was, finding that, but kind of figuring out that mental aspect of being in control
Hmm.
and saying, no, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let something slip me up. It's that mental shift too,
Hmm.
and that's been a big thing. And I think for me and others that have been successful in the program is you got to flip that switch in your head to know that this is what you want, and and why do you want it? And it goes back to the mission statement and everything else from the beginning, like the why, and you let that why drive you, and then you let that why keep pushing you through. And once you kind of get through some of those initial mental hurdles, and a lot of it still comes, right?
Yeah.
Specifically in workouts, right? You're going through a workout like, oh man, I can't get there, or I can't do this or that, or I'm tired, or whatever the case is. But if you can push through those mental things like that, there's some good power in that.
Yes.
And I think one other thing is, if I found too successful in, I think I maybe I've already said it, but back on the workouts, if yeah, your mental is there and you can push through it, but maybe you don't have all the time that you want to get through a particular workout, just do something.
Hmm.
Something is better than nothing. And even if that's just taking the dog for a walk, I've been never happy. I love my dog, but I've never been happier to have her. So because it
Hmm.
makes me get outside and walk
Yeah. Yeah.
more, So it's just doing those things and doing them consistently as much as one can in life is really really great.
Yeah. It sounds like in your mindset is you're just checking a box every day to do something, like accumulate movement. I think with exercise, people have this all or nothing mentality. It has to be this super long, intense workout. Then the schedule gets busy and then you do nothing. But you're flexible with yourselves. You have structured workouts. Sometimes you crush an hour workout. Sometimes you do a 30-minute modified workout. Sometimes it's walking the dog. But the mindset is you're moving your body, and that's huge. Another thing you said that really stuck out to me is how obsessed you were in the beginning at like really diving into nutrition education and like learning, because this is a key feature. It's like getting healthy is like an immersive experience where you start to look at, oh, how many calories are in this? I didn't know. It's like learning a new language with this. But I think now you have the power where you could look at a plate of food and be like, yeah, I think that plate probably has around 50 grams of carbs, 50 grams of protein, and maybe 20 grams of fat. And it's not like it needs to be exact, but there's a lot of power in learning this new language of calories in food nutrition. But I want to transition to exercise, because I think we talked about nutrition quite a bit. You did our free Apex 24-minute workout, and that thing totally kicked your butt. I first want to know, how much has your fitness changed over this period of time with Fit Father? Like in terms of just your capabilities in the workouts that you're doing, I'd love to hear about your strength and your endurance. And then let's talk about practically what you do in your routine with your workouts.
Yeah, I mean, over the last, it's been roughly 9 months since I started. Almost, if I look at the calendar, I think it was roughly 9 months ago is when I did that first free one. Toward
Mm-hmm.
the end of December, and I could probably now get through that eight, the eight on the way up with that Apex 8, and I could probably get that 24 minutes.
Yeah.
And now, like I'm in phase 4, so I'll do an Apex 10 every now and then, just to do it, like
Yeah.
kind of for fun, which is kind of weird, right? Like I never
Yeah.
think, like maybe while I'm going through it, I'm like, oh, but for sure, like I get through those first 6, 7, parts of the, going up like in no time. Like
Yeah.
I can tell like my heart rate is different than what it was before. Like
Oh yeah.
just my overall stamina, like, it it's amazing how things have changed. And don't get me wrong, they're still hard. But now what I do is I just, try to up my weight a little bit more. But if I know if I went down to like, I think the first time I did it was, I think tried starting it with like 20s, and that was way too much. So
Yeah,
I
way
went
too
down to
heavy.
10, went down to 10s and 15s. But if I went down to a 10, maybe a 15 to do it, I would crush it, and I know I would do it. So maybe I'll do it someday just to see how quickly I can get one done. But yeah, I mean, overall the stamina is it's huge. I think just, you know everything has changed so much in these last 9 months. And I'm not much of a runner. I enjoy it, but my knees don't
Yeah.
like me to run. And so, but I know I'll still get out there every once in a while and do it, but it it's not my lungs or my body that says it's my, or anything to tell me to stop. It's like the knees are going, sorry pal, you can't go any further
Yeah.
than what you've done. But I know, like, if that wasn't an issue, I could crush a 5K in no time, probably
Yeah.
more miles
Yeah.
than what I've ever done. But it's just not the way it is. But now it's just trying to figure out, pushing myself a little bit further, maybe
Sure.
up in the weights, whatever the case may be. So it's been fun to see the change. And I'll keep going through, some of this phase 4, just for, I think what I like about it's the flexibility to kind of bring back some of the old ones from the first
Yeah.
few phases, and incorporate some of these new ones when I don't have that time. Some of those earth, wind, fire routines, just to pound those out really quick. And then eventually my plan is to, once I feel like I'm ready to get back in the gym, pick up old school muscle and
Nice.
see what I can get, and expand upon what I've already
Yeah,
started.
I think you're going to crush it in old school muscle too. Just with dedicated muscle building phase, very different style of training. But I mean, the principles are all the same, of time efficient exercise that works well on the joints, and that feels good. And I think that's key for a lot of guys, especially who think it's important to train differently as we age. And I love these metabolic workouts we do with Fit Father for that reason, because you pair foundational movements, you're getting the cardio, you're getting the strength, and they lube up the joints. You get healthier joints over time as you do these. And so that's awesome. I love that you love those.
Yeah,
Have your
and
have your kids seen you do these? Do you do them at
oh
home, or do you
yeah,
do them at the gym?
no, I've done everything at home. I have not stepped foot in the gym since it closed when COVID came in.
Nice.
But prior to that, I was going probably 3 to 5 times a week. I'd lift 2 to 3 times a week, and I'd go to spin class a couple times a week, because get a good little hit cardio on a bike in there. And then kind of COVID came and everything, life happened. And so then, I just was like, all right, I'm going to do it from home. I'm not quite ready to go back to the gym. And I still have I've been really enjoying just working out from home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do it from home. They've seen me do it. They'll come down every once in a while and try to do a few things with me as well. But usually I work out, earlier in the morning. And
Hmm.
so, or now once they leave for school. So it's a little different at this point in time, but they're seeing it, and it's a good model to them to know that, hey, regardless of where you're at in life, just move a little bit and start working out, because it's gonna help. And I even had my kids, both my boys play soccer, and so I said, over the summer you got to keep training and start running around the block, get your stamina
Hmm.
back up. And they didn't even complain about it. So I didn't make them do it every day, but it was just like, hey, everyone, a few times a week, get out there, just jog. It doesn't have to be fast, but get out there and do something.
Yeah.
And I think that's setting them up for some foundations for when they get to this age and their life is changing. Maybe they can look back at that and say, all right, hey, I saw my dad do it, and I saw his transformation. I can, that's a good model that I can give to them.
Totally. I mean, the subtle culture that you're creating in your family by them watching you move, it just kind of makes it the default. And then your kids are getting healthier and stronger. Man, that the impact of that is like, it's hard to even express. Like, who knows? But it's incredible. That's amazing. Before we hopped on the call, you mentioned something. I asked you, like, how has this journey impacted other areas of your life? And you mentioned that you become more resilient just overall to stress and to stuff. Like, I'd like you to speak to that because I think, obviously when we get healthier and we lose weight, typically energy goes up, typically mood improves. And it's not like life changes, like the busyness is still there, but it seems like it feels a little different. So I'd like you to speak to those changes in your life.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's definitely the stress as an example just doesn't, it kind of rolls off a little bit more than what it used to. And, I work in sales, which can have high peaks of highs and lows. And, you're not hitting your numbers, it's stressful, or you're, you got to do this or that. That can be stressful. In the past, it would maybe, be, grabbing an extra cocktail at night or, kind of, I don't want to say coping with that, but yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it was
Yeah.
maybe coping with a little extra alcohol or something,
Hmm.
or food, or whatever the case was, or probably for me it was both. But now
Yeah.
it's like that stuff just doesn't get to me as much as it did. And sure, there's still areas of stress, and still, the highs and the lows of life, work, family, everything in between. But it's just, I think the mind, it all goes back to that mind shift change, right? Where that flip has been switched, or that switch has been flipped, excuse me. And then,
Hmm.
now it's just, not letting those things get to you that maybe did in the past. And, um, it's really powerful when you sit back and you think about it, to get to that point where you don't have to rely on X, Y, or Z when you're stressed, or you don't have to cope with whatever
Yeah.
mechanism that you have. You can sit down and, just kind of live with it and deal with it in a much more healthy and positive way.
It's so well said. And I think on a subtle level, this whole process of like installing this healthier lifestyle just changes the entire experience of our lives to being more proactive than reactive. Like, you're proactive with your food choices. You're choosing to do a workout that is challenging mentally. You're like, it's a stress on the body. Like, you do a workout and you're conquering hard things on a regular basis. You're proactively choosing good stuff for you. So when other stressful experiences come up, it's like, you're battle hardened. This is just like how you do it. It just gives you that resiliency. And I think that's, just a very subtle gift that you get at the end of a fitness journey after
Hmm.
you've, really you gotten the miles, gotten the weight down. And this, it
Yeah.
just kind of like ends up being something that makes it all worth it to sustain.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, something that I never even envisioned happening, right?
Right.
It's just like,
Right.
that's just one of those intangibles that just comes. And that's been just one of those kind of, we'll call it that's a great non-scale victory right there.
It is.
It's a great NSP is what that one is.
So Mark, a couple questions to wrap this up. One is, I'd like to know what the concept of fit father means to you. Like, in for you as a man who I consider now a fit father, but how that means you show up with your family, maybe you view yourself, and what does that fit father kind of mean to you in your heart now that you've walked this journey?
Yeah, I think to me it's, one, it's like a model to my kids. And so they, like I said, now they're seeing this, the change that I've had, and that hopefully will stick with them as they get older, as they, you know, find stresses in life, as they, get older, they start careers, in a while. But kind of modeling that for them, I think that's probably the biggest one. But it's also, a model to those that are around me, those that I work with, go to church with, you know, if they, they've seen it. And so, if I can help them to say, hey, this is how I can, in one part of my journey, and maybe hopefully they've seen it in other ones, right, with my
Yeah.
actions and everything else, then it's been, that's what I hope comes across from those that I come in contact with. It's been fun to see people react, to be like, oh man, what did you do? How have you done this? And and it's been fun to tell them about it. It's, hey, it's been a lot of work, but yet it hasn't been. It's been hard, but yet it's been easy at the same time. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense, I
Yeah.
think it's just
It
because of
does.
the the workouts are hard, like the mental shift is hard. The food is the easy part, really, when it comes down to it, because it's all normal stuff. You're not, putting crazy things in, or removing stuff out of there. And that's been a wild ride. And I mentioned it before, but I've I'm not one of those guys that has come in with, I'm on medication or anything. I'm just your normal guy, right? That, is relatively healthy, and hopefully other normal people or people that feel like they're normal like me will see this, hear this, or I'll come across them in some way, or maybe it's on the Facebook group and they'll see it, and maybe I'll be a motivation to them. Like other guys on my group have been a motivation to me. I've watched them, and you know, we're doing workouts. It's like, I know this guy has been doing this today. I got to get through it too. So maybe I can post like, hey, I did this as well. So hopefully all that, all those pieces work together just to, live the fit father life and keep it going. I'm young yet, right? I just turned 40
Yeah.
3 months ago. So I got a lot of runway to go, and I want to, I
Yeah.
want to keep this up. And, I want to be one of those guys in their 60s that
Yeah.
is, people look at like, holy crap, he looks just as good in his 60s as he did in his
Yeah.
40s. Like, that's what I want. And maybe
Yeah.
and hopefully I can, keep it up. And I think I've built the foundation that,
I know
I'll
you
get there.
have. I know you've built the foundation. Now it's just like running the reps and the miles and going with the ebbs and flows of life, but you have the structure. Man, I'm just so damn proud of you. Like I am smiling ear to ear. This is
Yeah.
like good stuff, Mark. Good stuff.
Thank you.
So
Because of you and your team. Help
yeah,
putting it
I
out
mean,
there.
and I'll say to my team, like, kudos to my team for yet another great transformation. Was there anyone on our team that you particularly had some great interaction with or insight or input from that
Yeah,
you'd like to give a little shout out to? Because
sure.
they deserve a lot more praise than they
Yeah.
get. I get to be the face up here, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Kat was the one who I kind of rolled through the meal timing stuff with, so that was great. And then obviously Ben, there's some questions I had on workouts because I didn't have all the equipment at home, and so I was like, what can I do to replace this? And he gave some great, suggestions on that. And so, and then Craig too. Um, he was big with, kind of getting me on the Fit Father for Life because there was toward the beginning of the year, and he helped me get on that and get some stuff squared away. So I think, everyone in general, and then, you too with the transformation contest, I joined that, and I did it more just for the fact that I needed something to stay accountable to.
Yeah.
I didn't have any thinking that I would win that thing, nor did I, and that's fine. But it was more of the fact that I know I have to keep this up because I don't want to let, myself down, but I don't want to be one of those guys that drops out of the contest by not submitting things. And so,
Yeah.
I think that when you put that into place was great because it was just an extra motivation for me to keep going and
Hmm.
to work out because I knew, all right, every month I needed to submit pictures and I wanted them to look
Hmm.
better than the previous month. And
Yeah.
so that was extra stuff. So for you and your team who came up with that, kudos to everyone there as well. And then obviously kudos to a lot of the guys on the group because that would be, I've watched their journeys and, seeing their stuff. A lot of them have been on the podcast here already with, Chris and Chad and,
Yeah.
few other guys. And, it's been, they motivated me more than probably what they even know.
Yeah.
So, shout out to them as well.
Shout out to those guys. Shout out to the whole brotherhood
That's
and
right.
to you and your family, Mark. God bless. Congratulations, man. Thanks for sharing your story today. Can't wait to get this out. And thanks for being a fit father, like through and through. And, when you were talking, I think one thing that came is you're leading by example. I think that really kind of signifies it. And I'm very proud of you on behalf of our entire team. So thanks for coming on today, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.